Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I know this is a crazy and unprecedented time that we're living through. Something that I've been really struggling with and that's been very present in my life is spending Shabbat and Yom Tov at home because Pesach just passed us and there's a 3-day Yom Tif and then 2 and it was all really fast and just a lot. So I wanted to kind of make a video about that experience and offer advice to other people in my situation who are the only shomer Shabbat people in their houses. Since this whole pandemic started and since I started keeping Shabbat, I've only spent 2 Shabbatot at home. The first was because I got my appendix out 2 days before, so I didn't really want to go out. And the second, I had 4 friends from seminary come over, so it was more of a Shabbaton. So that's really what I was afraid of, was spending Shabbat at home, being the only shomer Shabbat person. And like I said before, that I went out every Shabbat, and then also when I wasn't at school. At school, there's not only a really big Jewish life, there's a really big religious community. So even my roommate was religious, so that it was just really easy. And this is the first time that I've been like faced with making Shabbat and entertaining myself and all the things that go along with that. But the other aspect that I've found really hard is making it feel like Shabbat. Like I said before, I kind of never had to make a Shabbat environment for myself, because whenever I went out for Shabbat, it was either to my rabbi or to a friend whose family is shomer Shabbat, or again at school. Like, in essence, I really never had to make Shabbat feel like Shabbat. But now it's a different story, and since we don't really know when this pandemic will end, when we will be able to start going to other people's houses and interacting with people that we're not related to. So I want to share some tips that I have learned through keeping Shabbat and Yom Tov at home. Again, I cannot believe that I did a 3-day Yom Tif at home. Like, it was terrifying before, but then I somehow did it. So I just wanted to, I guess, offer advice and kind of tell people that you're not alone. If you're the only person who's shomer Shabbat in your house, I'm here to try to help. Before I begin, I want to say that even though it sounds like I have it all figured out, I really don't. And I often, during Shabbat and after Shabbat, I'm in a bad mood because it's lonely and it's kind of isolating and it's frustrating. So I just want to say, if you're feeling that, you're not the only one. I hope we learn a lot from this situation, and I think it's okay to acknowledge that we're really excited to be able to go out for Shabbat after this pandemic is behind us. So we are taught that what we put into Shabbat, we get out of Shabbat. So meaning prep, right? So I suggest cleaning your house or your communal living areas or your room. It'll just make it feel more nicer, and it'll be a nice way to greet the Shabbat queen, is to have a clean environment. Also, cook food that you're excited to eat and that'll make it feel special. So maybe during the week, if you're just having like pasta or whatever, make something nice for Shabbat. Buy a snack that you're excited to eat, because food makes everything better. This experience has really made me into a chef, and I made chicken soup the other day, and I guess you could say that I'm officially a Jewish mother now. I'm very proud of myself. Back to the note of snacks, I suggest getting a snack that is a snacktivity. It's a snack and it's an activity. So like pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds or anything of that kind of thing. It's fun just to eat, and daydream and whatever, just eat. But also I like eating sunflower seeds while I read. It gives me something to do because I'm a big multitasker, and read, and it's fun, and snacktivity is a fun word. Try to create kind of an oasis for yourself. And I mean, if there are not Shabbat friendly activities going on in your house, make something, an area, probably your room, that's what I did, where you can get away from that and be in your little Shabbat bubble. So I've made a reading nook in my room. It's really cute, and I've been able to spend hours there and reading and thinking and whatever. But I think kind of making your own space, even just like for yourself, like in general, I think you need kind of your own space to be, because I live in an apartment, everyone's kind of on top of each other. There's not really that many places to go. So I think if you create your own space that you'll like, that really helps. Even if you spend all of Shabbat in your house, I really suggest dressing up and to make the day feel like Shabbat and not some day you're just lounging around. So dress up. If you go outside, wear Shabbat shoes or a nice coat, something like that, just to kind of keep the semblance of Shabbat, because at the end of the day, pandemic or not, like the Jews have kept Shabbat through way harder situations. So I think dressing up really enhances the Kedusha of the day. Try to have a meal with your family. My family is Russian, so as I explained to someone a little bit ago, Russians are a different breed of assimilated, so I didn't grow up with any semblance of Shabbat, so that's something that I've introduced to my family, so it's kind of been interesting getting into the groove of that. So we're pretty into Friday night now, since I've been home for Shabbat, but not so much Shabbos day. So Friday night is really nice, and we do have a nice meal. Shabbos day I end up eating alone a lot, which is fine. It's kind of sad, but I think something that I've learned to try to enhance it is still make it a Seudah, because at the end of the day, Shabbat lunch is just as important as Friday night. So still have good food that you're excited to eat, dress up, things like that. What I've done is I've looked through a bencher and kind of looked at the songs, and I've either sung them out loud when my family wasn't home, or kind of like hummed them or sung them in my head to, I don't know, a lot of the songs are kind of nostalgic, so that's cute. And also just like Shabbat Smiro, you're still enjoying that. So I think that's something that's definitely helped make Shabbat lunch more of a Seudah, not just me eating. One of the, I guess, biggest things that I've struggled with is being lonely on Shabbat, because it is just me. And the other members of my house kind of just like do their own thing, which is totally fine. I can't force them to do anything Shabbat-esque, because that's just not fair, and that's just not the philosophy that I've been taught. So you kind of just have to be your own person. I think keep in mind that this day is important to you, and that you have had hopefully beautiful Shabbat experiences, and in the future you'll have beautiful Shabbat experiences. So just keep that in mind. And something to make the day feel more Jewish, because I remember the first Shabbat I was at home and I was like, this doesn't feel like Jewish. It kind of just feels like I'm not on my phone for 25 hours. So I really suggest learning. You can go through the Parsha. You can get some Jewish books. I'm going to link some down below that I really like, that I have. You can start going through Navi and Ketuvim, writings and prophets, and just reading it. Like, why not? You have time on your hands, and reading through the different commentators. I think just learning really helps. This book, An Oasis in Time, I got at an NCSY event. They were just giving it out because we had Chabrut with the teens. Anyway, I started reading this past Shabbat, and it's a book about ideas on Shabbat, and I was like, hey, this is cool, and like really made me reappreciate Shabbat, because I've been kind of dreading it. But it just has some really interesting ideas, and it's kind of brought back to me the beauty of Shabbat and why I think it's important and why it's a value. So An Oasis in Time, I recommend. If you have a printer, something you can do is print Divrei Torah on the Parsha, or just something that you're interested in. There are a lot of really cool Jewish blogs, magazines, like The Tablet, The Forward, Alma, things like that. They have really interesting Jewish articles, so if you're not really into like in-text learning, you can still have something Jewish, or even like Hasidic stories, Baal Shem Tov stories, things like that. Again, just to make the day, for lack of a better term, more Jewish. Take your time davening, and maybe even say more than what you usually say, because again, it makes the day more holy. It passes time, you're connecting to Hashem. It kind of reminds you of why you're doing this. I remember as I was becoming religious, and I would read the, like, Pray the Amida in English, and it would talk about all those who sanctified this day will something reward. I don't know, just like in the Amida, it like really inspired me. Like, wow, like people who keep Shabbat, like all these great things happen. Sort of, it's like a little more complicated than that. But pray, connect to God. That's what this day is for, and you have nothing else to do. So to make the time pass and to make Shabbos more fun, you can get games. Obviously, games are more fun if someone plays with you, but if you don't have that option, some games you can make and play it yourself, like bananagrams. I've always wanted to do like use every piece and just like make one big thing, and that's something super easy you can do yourself. Blocus is really fun. Puzzles are really good. Also books in general, I already mentioned learning, but just like books that you want to read. Yeah, I'm reading Harry Potter. First of all, what are you doing? But second of all, I highly recommend. I'll link down below some of the books that I finished over Yontif and these past Shabbatot, like secular books and Jewish books. And I recommend having a few books on hand, kind of just to rotate so you don't get bored of one book. Even if it's good, like I'm just like a very fast-paced person, so I like having the option to switch from book to book, and I switch from Jewish to not Jewish to an Oasis in Time to Tanya, whatever. It's just nice to have a variety. Since the weather is supposedly getting nicer, but even still, go on walks. I've been able to explore my neighborhood and like look at the houses, and I kind of play a game with myself, like can I picture myself living in that house? What would I do to upgrade that house? Things like that. To really take time to explore, go outside. Yeah, go outside. It gets you out of your house. As I mentioned, I live in an apartment, and it is nice, but it's small, and there's only like so many things to look at and places to be. So outside it's just less constricting. Because the Shabbatot are getting longer, I really suggest making a list, because like on Shabbat day you have to entertain yourself for a really long time. Making a list is so you're not like wondering, okay, what do I do next, and just like sitting there and it sucking. So I have made a list. I don't know if you can see that, but it just, I hang it up so I know what to do. So some things on my list are read, steig, which means learn, take a walk, organize books, look through yearbooks, look through pictures, daydream, play games. It's kind of the things I already talked about, but I think having it on a list is just nice to like reference, to be like, I literally don't know what to do with myself. Oh, let me go take a walk, let me go play a game, something like that, just so you're not kind of like, okay, what's next? Also, if you want to, you can totally make a schedule for yourself. I think if you're a kind of person that wants and needs structure, you're gonna daven from this time and then have a meal and then play a game. And I just a suggestion. I also suggest taking an extra 5 minutes before you do Havdalah, because I found myself periodically looking at the clock throughout the day, just be like, okay, how many hours? 3 more hours, 2 more hours, 1 more hour. And it's kind of sad, but that's just kind of where I am. So I feel like taking an extra 5 minutes before doing Havdalah shows Hashem, like, I really do care, even though I'm struggling, and I still want this day to be special. So just taking that extra 5 minutes, so you're not like jumping the gun when it turns that time that you can make Havdalah. So I think just like also adding Shabbat into your week, I think is a really beautiful concept. And lastly, do something fun Motzei Shabbat, because I don't know, this past Shabbat was really hard, and I kind of left Shabbat like really annoyed and frustrated. But on Thursday or Friday, I had planned to make cookies and watch the Black Mirror movie Motzei Shabbat, and that's what I did, and it put me in a better mood. Yeah, and I mean, but I think really taking time for yourself, even one could argue that Shabbat is taking time for yourself, but also like because you have to work so much harder in this time, I think, you know, you can extend that to Saturday night and then start doing your schoolwork or whatever you need to do on Sunday. I hope this video helped in that you tried to make your Shabbatot as kadosh and special as you can, and just know that you're not alone. If you feel lonely, you're not alone. Just think of me and lots of other people who are also struggling. But keep in mind that Shabbat is such a beautiful thing that the Jewish people have, and just really use this opportunity to grow and learn.